Really nasty scene yesterday between York and Cavalry. Potentially rash challenge caused Oliver Minatel of Cavalry to suffer a dreadful injury, had surgery straight after. We haven't got the exact diagnosis just yet, but obviously he is going to be out for a long time. You know, those kind of injuries, generally speaking, we're talking a year around there. Horrible scenes, a lot of debate post-match on social media about the challenge by Roger Thompson. Was it rash? Was it dirty? What are your thoughts? We've seen the replays, sadly, a number of times now, Iain.
Yeah, we've seen different angles. As a striker, for me, it's not a bad tackle. He's doing his job. He's defending. It's misfortunate that unfortunate. Sorry.
Now, as a striker, you recognize. You tell me. I was talking about it on TV yesterday, that he will recognize that the player's coming in. He knows he's coming in for a challenge, and the fact that he swings through that challenge, as a striker, you're going to put yourself at risk by doing that. I
would have tackled him. Personally, I'd have turned that into a 50-50.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to put blame on him for swinging through it, but as somebody in that position that you have been many times before, you're putting yourself at massive risk when you're swinging through a challenge, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, and like we've seen it, he strikes through his, I think it's his knee. So it's a hard place to kick through, and I just think it's massively unfortunate.
Yeah.
But like I said, I'd have gone into that tackle. I'd have made that a 50-50 out of that. But I think the only reason we're talking about it, obviously, is because of the injury. If that goes out for a corner, there's no thought about a bad tackle or anything.
Well, there is a case where you could say, you know, the excessive force, which, you know, debatable. I'm not going to say my opinion is right, but certainly there would be a debate that there's excessive force there. But I would say, from what Hume's saying, is that is unfortunate.
It's a contact sport. It can be a violent sport. Just because someone gets horribly injured doesn't mean it's a dirty play, though.
He wasn't out of control of himself.
No, exactly.
Going into that tackle, he wasn't lunging in. He was clearing the ball.
Still, our thoughts to Oliver Minatel. Certainly a horrible injury. It's a crazy day today. So much can still happen. So many permutations. If this makes somewhat sense for you, the scenarios for Ottawa, if they win, they're in. Like, how about that? What a story they are. Halifax, win or draw, is good enough for them. Pacific, they win. They're through. York, with that loss yesterday, they only get through if Pacific fails to win. So still some permutations. This is, I think, exactly how the CPL drew it up. As far as the format, it's working. It's providing drama and great theatre really every match day so far, and coming down to the wire, entering the next phase.
I think the biggest thing for me is that going from last year, I think there was that gap between Forge and Cavalry. I think they were the two best teams by a considerable amount. And some of the teams like Valor really struggled. Halifax had a hard time in their first year. Those teams have really closed that gap, and the actual parity in the league is excellent. When you look at going into the last game, that 7 of the 8 teams were still in contention for those playoff spots. So some similarities, I think we were talking about with India and how they started their league. I think there's only 8 teams. How's the caliber compared to the Indian League when you were there?
It's very similar. Yeah. I think you can see, without any disrespect, a little bit of naivety in the players and the age of the players, and they're learning, and it's great. It's great to see they've all got a chance to play professional football. But you can still see that there's missing a little bit of, obviously, financial backing when you compare it to what India had. Each club had an individual owner and sponsor and big backing to bring in players to enhance the quality.
Some big names went over there.
No, exactly. Like we had designated players, we called them marquee players. Del Piero, Pires, Anelka, Materazzi, Alano, Roberto Carlos. You had all these big players coming out there, and they were given that bit of experience and expertise to the young players, and it dragged them up, to be honest, and it really helped it.